Hello everyone, in this class we will learn how we can initialize an array at the time of array declaration. Clear? So let's start. Let's say we declare an array as int arr 5. One more declaration is like static arr 5. Now look here, integer arr 5. Now look, in this case what is the range? The range is 5. In this case what is the range? The range is 5. So what will be the indices required to access all the elements of both of these array? The indices will be from 0 to 4. Clear? Now this array is integer type, this array is again integer type. That means both the elements of both the array are of integer type. So these are the similarities in between these two array declaration. Now in both of these two declaration we did not initialize with any value. That means both of these two array will initialize by the system with default initial value. Now coming to the next part, that is the most important part in these two declaration. Look, in this particular declaration we use storage class as static. But in this particular declaration we did not specify any storage class. So what will be the default storage class? The default storage class is auto. That means this declaration is in storage class auto. Now what it makes difference in between auto and static storage class? How they are different? They are different from the point of view of memory. Clear? Now when we declare any variable in auto storage class, at that time the memory is allocated from stack section and default value will be garbage. And when we declare any variable with static storage class, at that time the memory will allocated from data section, and whenever memory is allocated from data section the value initialized with will be 0. Clear? That means in this case memory will be allocated from stack section and default initial value will be garbage. In this case memory will be allocated from data section and the initial value will be 0 as memory is allocated from data section. Now coming to the memory allocation part. So what will be the size of memory? Total size of memory. Here size of memory will be 5 into 4. Why 5? 5 because of the range. And why 4? 4 because of the size of each element. Size of each element will be 4 in this case, because we store this particular array. This particular array will hold integer type of element. So what will be the total size? Total size will be 20 byte. In this case again size will be 20 byte. Because of the same reason, the range is 5. That means 5 different value will be there, and type of each value is integer. That means size of each value will be 4 byte. So 4 into 5, that means that will give us 20 byte. Now coming to the memory allocation part. Here 20 bytes will be there, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So first index will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is our ARR. let's say the base address is 1001, so it will contain 1001, 1001, so it will pointing to this particular base address, and this particular memory block will allocate it from stack section. That is the main point here. Now coming to this particular part, this particular declaration, here also 20 byte memory block will create. Index will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then ARR, let's say 2001, 2001. This is our base address, and the address of ARR again 2001. Now here this memory will allocate it from data section. Look, same memory, same number of bytes is allocated. Here also 20 bytes allocated, here also 20 bytes allocated, but the space in memory from where this memory is allocated, this block is allocated, is different. Because of that, the initial value will also change. In this case, the initial value will be garbage, but in this case the initial value will be 0. That is the difference when we declare any array with static storage class and any array with auto storage class. Clear? Hope you understood the difference between static and auto storage class in case of array. Clear? Now coming to the next form of initialization. In next form of initialization, look, array is a collection of elements. That means collection means set. That means a set of elements that we can initialize in array, not only a single element. Look, when we declare any particular variable, integer x, at that time how many value it can hold? It can hold only one value, and that value we can initialize directly, like 5. Clear? But in case of array, an array can hold more than one element, and whenever more than one element comes, at that time it is called a set. And in reality we represent any set with the help of curly brace, and because of that in C programming also, when we need to initialize elements in an array, at that time we need to specify all the element within the curly brace. Clear? So in case of array initialization, integer ARR, let's say 6, we will initialize all the value with the help of curly brace, and we will specify all the value here, v1, v2, v3, like that. All the value we will initialize within this curly brace itself. Now how this value will store in memory? Because in this array we will have 0, 1, like that, range -1, these many individual position, and each of these individual position can hold only one value at a time. Now we are specifying these values like this within the curly brace. How these are, all of these value will store in the array? Look, the first value in this curly brace will store in the index 0, the second value will store in the index 1, the third value will store in the index 2, like that it will continue until it will not store all the specified elements in array. Clear? So let's take an example and see how this scenario will work. Let's say we are declaring integer ARR 4 equal to, and then we are initializing values. So how many values this particular array can hold? This particular array can hold 4 different elements. So 10, 20, 30, 40. These are the 4 elements we specified or we initialized in the array ARR. Now here the index will be 0, 1, 2, 3. Now the first element will store in index 0, second element will store in index 1, the third element will store in index 2, the fourth element will store in index 3. Clear? Now how many memory will required? The size of memory will be for this particular whole array will be 4 into 4, that is 16. That means a 16-byte memory block will create for the array with 4 individual elements, and the index of each element will be 0, 1, 2, 3. The base address, let's say 2001. So the logical part, the array itself will contain the base address of the array, and the base address of the array itself will be 2001, and it is pointing to this particular address. Now coming to this is our memory allocation part. Now coming to the value initialization part, how values will be stored. The first element, that is 10 will be stored in first index, that is 0. The second element is 20 will be stored in second index, that is 1. The third element is 30, that 30 will store in index 2. The fourth element is 40, and that will store in the third index, that is index 3. So here the value will be 40. Clear? Now in this case the range of the array is 4, and we already specify all the 4 elements, and so the values and the value will store in the respective index one by one. Clear? Now what happens if we did not specify all the elements? That means, let's say the array can store 4 elements, correct, but we specify only 2 elements. Then how system will store, how system will initialize the array? Look, the first specified element will be stored in first index, the second specified element will be stored in second index. Now there is no more element in the array. Then how system will initialize the remaining elements in the array? Look, whenever we initialize any array partially, not fully. In previous case we specify all the array elements, that means that particular array was initialized fully, but in this case the array is initialized partially. That means some of the array elements are initialized, but not all the array elements are not initialized. In that case the remaining elements will initialized with 0 only. Whatever the memory space from where the memory is allocated for this particular array, it does not matter. Even though the memory is allocated from stack section at that time also, if the array is partially initialized, at that time also system will initialize remaining values with value 0. Clear? Remaining elements of the array with value 0, even though memory is allocated for the array from stack section. Clear? So these elements will be initialized with 0. This is called partial initialization. So in this way also we can initialize array. Now coming to the next part, let's say here the range given as 10. The range given as 10, we specify 10, 20, then 4 is specified as 5, then 22, then 7 is specified as 99. Now look, what is the range of elements? Range of array? Range given as 10. That means how many elements this particular array can hold? This particular array can hold 10 elements at a time. And how many elements we specified for initialization of the array? We specified only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different elements. We specified only 5 different elements. That means remaining 5 elements we are not specifying. So how system will work with that? And for some of the elements we already specified the index, in which index we want to initialize this particular value 5 and this particular value 99. We already specified that particular index also at the time of array declaration. Now how system will store all the elements in the array? Look, here total element in the array will be 10. So the index will be from 0 to 9. 3, 4 5 6 7 8 9. 4 5 6 7 8 9. So this is our lower bound and this is our upper bound. That means lower bound means from where index started for an array, and upper bound means the last index of the array. Clear? Now coming to the initialization. Look, for this particular element we did not specify any index. That means this particular element will store in the index 0. For this element also we did not specify any index. So where it will store? It will store in index 1. Now for this particular element 5 we already specified the index. That means this particular array element, this particular element will store in the index 4. Now for this element we did not specify any index. Now where it will store? Look, it will store at the end of last index where element is stored. So where, in which index last element is stored? The last element stored in index 4. So this particular element will store in index 5. Now where this particular element will store? This particular element will store in index 7 because the index is already specified. Now which are the indices where we did not specify, for which we did not specify any values? Look, index here, two index is there, one is 2, one is 3. Then 4 5 we already specify element. Then here index 6 we did not specify any element for index 6. Now after 7 also we have two index, one is 8 and other one is 9. Now look, index for index 0 1 4 5 7 we specified elements, but for index 2 3 6 and 8 9 we did not specify any value. So how system will initialize the array? Look, for the indices for which we already specify the value, the values will store at the respective index, and all the remaining index will initialized with value 0. Clear? So here 10 20 2 3 we did not specify any value, so it will be 0 0. Then 4 it will store 5, then 5 it will store 22. Then 6 we did not specify any value for 6 also, so it will initialize with 0. The next element is 99 stored in 7, so it will contain 7. Then 8 9, for 8 9 also we did not specify any value, so it will initialize with 0 0. Clear? So this is the scenario where how we can initialize elements of an array. Clear? So till now we learned 5 different ways of array initialization. One is from stack section without initialization, one is from stack section without initialization, one is from data section without initialization, one is fully initialization, one is partially initialization, one is partially initialization with specific index. Clear? Now look, there is one more way in which we can initialize the array. Now till now whatever way we saw, in every case we specify the value of range at the time of array declaration, but is it required for every way? No, it is not required in every way. Look, till now we saw int arr then range. Till now whatever array we declare, in every case we specify the value of range, but it is not necessary to specify the value of range in every case. Look, if we initialize the array at the time of declaration, at that time it is not mandatory or it is not essential to specify the value of range, but we are not going to initialize at the time of declaration. At that time we have to specify the value of range. Clear? That means if we declare array like integer arr, this one, look, here we are not initializing and not specifying the range, then system will give us error. But if we use integer then we initialize some value, let's say 10, 20, 30. At that time it will work properly. How? What happened in this scenario? Look, why we need to specify the range? First of all, we need to know that answer. We need to know that thing. Look, the range is required to know how much memory system will allocate for this particular array. Clear? Other than that, there is no specific use of the range. That range is used only to inform the system that we want to store that many integers, that many values in the array. Now please allocate allocate memory for that array. Clear? Now in this case, as we already specify the elements, system already have that information how many elements we want to store in this particular array. And how many elements we want to store in this particular array? We want to store only 3 elements in the array. That means system get the value of range from this particular initialization, and because of that system will not give any error in this particular scenario, even though we did not specify the range. Clear? So in this case, when we initialize, the range value is an optional value. We can declare the array without specifying the value of range, but system internally take the value of range from initialization part. Clear? So how system will get the value? System first check how many elements are specified here and count that number. What is that number? In this case the number is 3, so this 3 will become the range for this particular array. So for this particular array, the range will be 3. So how many memory will be allocated? The memory will be 3 into 4. This is our range and this is our 4, so 12 byte will be allocated. Now in memory part 0, 1, 2, first element will initialize with 10, second element will initialize with 20, the third element will initialize with 30. Let's say the base address is 1014, so now the ARR will contain 1014 and the base address of ARR will again 1014. Now all the remaining parts are exactly same whatever we learned till now. The only difference is in case of initialization, the range value becomes optional. We may define the range value or we may not define the range value, it doesn't matter. System internally calculate the range value from the set of elements that we specified in the declarative statement. Clear? So that's it for today. Hope you understood the various ways that we can use to declare an array and to declare an array with initialization or without initialization, and how internally system will work with each of those instructions, all those things. Hope you understood. Clear? So that's it for today. See you soon in our next class. Thank you.